to Salmon's Pizzeria, your favourite slice of Scottish football. If you couldn't tell already, it's going to be a bit of a weird one. We've got glitchy cameras, glitchy audio, but just like a lot of team seasons this year, that kind of sums this up. So we'll just dive right in and we'll make the most of any and all weird and wacky fuck-ups that happen during the course of this. So with me today, and hopefully for the rest of the show, we'll see how it goes tech-wise, we've got the lovely Stu and Ethan. How are we doing tonight, gents?
I mean, apart from trying to get this thing working properly, it's I've just my camera's now gone to like 4 frames a second, like you say. So God knows what's going to. It's going to be an audio only episode at this rate. But apart from that, I'm all good.
Worst case scenario, the editors can have a great fun putting the avatars in this, especially since they need to dye my hair back from the brown to the blonde. If the podcast hasn't noticed that already, promise I'm not a catfish. I just get bored very easily. What about yourself, Ethan? How you keeping?
Yeah, the weekend aside, I've actually been not too bad. I mean, on my screen, I'm completely frozen. I look like I've taken the most 40-year-old Facebook profile picture of all time. But yeah, no, just obviously still a bit plagued from Saturday. We'll dig into that soon enough. But it's been worse, so can't complain too much.
This might unintentionally turn out to be one of the weirdest episodes that we'll end up doing. So if this does see the light of day on YouTube, then apologies to Edit Andy, because he's going to have to do some crazy logistics to try give us, or not audio, but the animation avatar guys. But if this is on Spotify, you won't have a clue what we're talking about. Just take our word for it, or just subscribe to YouTube just for this one video that goes up. So we're in the proper end of the season now. I don't know about yourselves, but when it gets to this end, I feel as if I know how most of the clubs have went. What about yourselves? How would you honestly evaluate where your clubs are at with 3 games to go? How are you feeling?
As a Rangers fan, it's
agony, pain.
Yeah, it's a disaster, isn't it? There's no other word for it. It's been it's been awful from pretty much from when we won the league to now. Really, it's just been a slow decline that always promises like it's going to get better and then somehow gets worse and worse, and every time we seem to fall for it, hook, line and sinker, like it is going to get better. But the next one is obviously the American owners coming in, and now we're all believing that it's going to bring back the good times. But my view on it is it literally cannot get worse at this point. So I'm going to let myself believe one more time and just go full hog and go back in on it. But yeah, for this season, it's just, I think the warning signs were there early for us with the management. It never really improved, probably lasted too long. And then, yeah, we've obviously Barry Ferguson's coming as a caretaker, and we knew he's not really come for his managerial prowess. It's more for the sort of Steven Gerrard-ish appointment where he's come in for the standards and for his standing in the game as a player and his demands. And they were hoping, I think, that would obviously rub off on the players, and it hasn't really. So, yeah, disappointing season, but still a little bit optimistic for the future, which is good. But overall, for this season, yeah, just disaster.
I think someone's got to be optimistic in the Rangers fan base now. So, I mean, if you're willing to fly that flag for your team, fair enough, because it wouldn't be me if I was a Rangers fan now. But what about yourself, Ethan? I know you're still slightly traumatised from Saturday. You're welcome, by the way. But other than that, how would you kind of rank where Dundee's been so far with 3 games to go? You're hopeful you'll avoid that playoff space, or do you still think it could go either way?
Well, I guess it's all about perspective, really. I mean, just hearing all that, it's like I'm dying of thirst watching another man drown. Like, oh no, we're going to finish second in Europe. Yeah, read the room, Stu, right? So, some of us have some bigger problems ahead of us.
Okay. After that.
Oh, well, before going into the split, I had a conversation with my brothers, and I kind of said to them, 7 points would be enough from the split to kind of, get out of the relegation playoff and just have automatic safety, which is what we're going to, strive for, obviously. Now, personally, I don't think any Premiership team will go down the season through the playoffs, but I'd still rather avoid it, because if there's any team that can find a way to lose in games that they shouldn't, that's been Dundee this season. And when we beat Hearts at Tynecastle, that was like a massive 3 points out of nowhere. No one saw it coming. And the feeling was, great. If we can now get 3 points at home to Motherwell, then it's just, you're looking at, to meet that threshold, 1 point for the remaining games, and we're all good to go. And yeah, I think Dundee overall, Michael Stewart described it on Sports Sound as Dundee have a substance. And I understand what he means by that. I think Dundee will stay up. I think there's enough quality to get us over the line. I think we will get over the line. But it's just worrying seeing so many common problems come back to bite us. Our manager says a lot about learning lessons, yet lessons never really seem to be learned, or at least not learned any longer than another match day. I mean, we're currently top of the league in terms of leads thrown away, most points thrown away from winning positions. And it was completely on brand that we lost a game at home whilst having the lead initially and conceding the winning goal at the death. That's just been Dundee, to an absolute T. Not necessarily just this season, but even last season as well. That both things were the same issue. We were top of the league for throwing away points, and we always conceded it, if not the 90th minute, 88th minute, then injury time. But Saturday as a whole, I'm caught in two minds really, because on one hand I think if that second Portala's goal stands, which in my view I think it should have, then I think it changes the dynamic of the game completely. We've got a command of the game, a comfortable lead at home, 45 minutes left to play. You'd fancy to see us through, but again, it's Dundee, so I guess no one else probably would have got beat anyway, because the standard that Dundee performed in that second half was sickening, particularly when Motherwell went down to 10 men. We created absolutely nothing. And Motherwell, in my book, were absolutely worthy winners come full time.
Can I get that writing, please, so I can get that framed? He's actually
no, you certainly can.
No, that's fair enough, Ethan. I mean, the game was a bit of a weird one. I had a feeling, I said this in the BBC fan column last week, was if we could get the 3 against St Johnstone, we did. If we could get at least 1 from Dundee, 1 from Hearts, 3 from Kelly, and 3 from County, we'd be laughing all the way home. Take that, absolutely. But 3's even better, so I can live with us potentially dropping points to Hearts now. So thanks for that. You've taken the pressure off us. We are now sitting at 41 seasons in the top flight. Only 2 other clubs in Scotland have got a similar record. Neither of those clubs are on this podcast tonight. Stu's hiding.
Celtic and Aberdeen.
Correct.
Yeah, thought as much. Kelly had a good record going for a bit before we beat them in the playoffs.
That was going well until a certain incident, but we won't make Stu suffering any worse. He's better enough this season. But yeah, I mean, kind of focusing on the Dundee games is probably the one we're both more inclined to know the most about here is with the offside goal, and I'm just going to come out and say something that might get me in trouble. I don't know the player's name, so I'll plead my ignorance with that, but the boy that caused it to be offside, right? Was he standing in an offside position? Yes. Did his position have anything to do with the goal? Absolutely not. So, ignore the coughing. I'm glad the goal was chopped off. Obviously, it suited me. Obviously. But see, if I was a Dundee fan, I would be absolutely raging about it. So, I get absolutely why a lot of fans are unhappy about it. Same with Tony Docherty. But this is where I say it might get me in trouble. I hate the offside rule more than I hate VAR. See, if it was up to me, I would scrap the whole thing. Because far too much things, Stu, you've probably even seen it in Old Firm, too many things get drawn off as offside and it's by the split of a hair in your head. And it's like, come on, just get a grip. It's outdated. I hate it. It ruins too many good things. Get rid of it. VAR can stay. That's my opinion on it.
Well, I've always been consistent with my view on VAR. I think VAR isn't the culprit. I think we've got really poor match officials. And my view of it is, if with VAR, with VAR, for me, I personally feel they have no excuse to get it wrong because they can literally see it back again. So I feel with VAR, you have this tool where we can hold them accountable, and we don't. There's absolutely no pressure held against them. So I think if you were then to scrap VAR, you're still keeping the same officials that have got you in this mess in the first place. So all you've really done now is you've taken away the tool for accountability, and I think that would just condemn us to having this poor standard forever. So I think, if anything, VAR for me is actually like a light in the tunnel to get it spot on. It's not the technology's fault. It's just, like I say, the officiating. And in regards to the goal, you want to talk about the offside rule. The whole point of the offside rule is to prevent an unfair advantage, an advantage through interference. Not a single Motherwell player claims for it to be disallowed, for it to be chopped off. And I think if the goal stands, no one in hindsight says, how have they not picked up on that? I think everyone, majority, has been pretty shocked that that's a call that's been given. Uh, I think Clark Robertson, if all he's really done, his sin is that he's in an offside position. But that's not necessarily full on illegal. You can get players that are in offside positions, but it means nothing because they've not interfered with play. That happens all the time. And in this case, they've deemed Robertson to interfere, and I don't know why. Because he's not touched Dominic Thompson. I think Dominic Thompson goes to clear the ball once he sees Joe Shaughnessy running towards him. So for me, he's not interfered with play. His sin is just that he exists in an offside position, and I've a lot of fault with that, because that shouldn't have to be a reason why you chop a goal off. It doesn't affect the outcome, the end product of Portales swinging a foot at it and catching the top corner. And I can name previous examples. I can remember watching games in England where there was kind of debate on it. Marcus Rashford was offside against Man City in a Manchester derby, but he never played the ball. He simply ran. He ran behind the ball, and I think it was maybe Garnacho or someone from an onside position comes in, shoots, scores. And there was a lot of debate about that at the time. In my view, watching that then was, well, he's not interfered. He simply existed. He streamed kind of along the ball, but he's not touched it. He's not touched the defender. If Clark Robertson touches Dominic Thompson full on, I could get behind that, because he has at least interfered with play. He's touched an onside defender. Um, but in those cases, because they have no impact on the ball, no impact on opposition players, and no impact on what's actually happened in the face of the goal, I think it's just it's an awful call. It's another classic example of VAR looking for a reason to chop a goal off. And I'm absolutely not surprised as well that Kevin Clancy, of all people, went to the monitor and reversed the decision, because for me, Kevin Clancy is the worst referee in Scotland. Like, we have got some fucking shit referees. He is the absolute fucking dog shit of the toilet bowl. I hate him. I can't stand him. I think if you know a referee's name, you shouldn't know a referee's name, but if you know a referee's name, he's shite. And at this rate, I feel like I know his full fucking birth certificate. Absolutely fucking stinking, man.
And on next week's episode of Orders Up, we have Nick Clancy. No, I think make you feel knowing Ethan, Jesus. But no, I get where you're coming from, but it was a bit of a mad decision. The boy, he's offside, but again, it nothing to do with the goal. I'm absolutely happy it was given though, absolutely, because it says to me. But that's just me being bitter with that one. If I still think about Mullow, you've been hard done to with that one, but at the same time, get it right up, Ease. What about you, Stu? Do you want to be feeling it as the neutral amongst us, or do you want to watch it to death?
So when I was watching it back, me and Ethan were speaking a little bit on it beforehand, but when I was watching it back, I couldn't. I mean, I needed about 4 replays to find out what they'd even chalked it off for. I genuinely couldn't understand, especially when they said offside. I assumed it hit someone's hand or something at first. When they said offside, I was like, how can he's banged it in the top corner? Who can possibly be offside? And then they've shown the replay and they've pointed to it. And I think Dom Thomas and Robertson, they have a little scuffle before the moment. And then Robertson is just behind him. I agree with Ethan. I don't think he's going to clear that ball because Robertson's behind it. I think it's because Shaughnessy's coming towards the ball is the reason he makes an attempt at it. But it reminds me of, and Ethan touched on some of the ones in England. I remember one. It might have even been in Europe, but it was Salah for Liverpool was in an offside position. They've lumped the ball towards him. The defender in front of him, and he's a couple of yards in front of him. He's gone for a header because Salah's behind him. And he's misjudged the header, and he's sort of come off the top of him, landed at Salah's feet, and Salah's put it in the back of the net. And they gave that goal because they said, well, Salah wasn't interfering in play. The guy mistimed his header. In my opinion, he mistimed that header because he was worried about Salah behind him. But if that's not given as offside, I don't see in a world where this one is possibly offside, because he doesn't interfere with play. I think if, like Ethan said, if they touch maybe, or he's there's a clear attempt for the ball, he just moves forward. He doesn't really go for the ball. He sees Shaughnessy come in, he backs out, and Dom Thomas knows he's got to deal with Shaughnessy, and that's it for me. I think it's it's madness that we keep coming back to clear and obvious, and I know some people sort of blur that line a bit where it's like, the referee didn't see it, therefore it wasn't clear and obvious. That's sometimes what VAR is needed for. It's not necessarily clear and obvious, but upon looking at VAR, you can see that an incorrect decision has been made. But this one, it's like, it's exactly what Ethan said, that they're looking for excuses to chalk it off, and I don't get this one at all. It's up there with one of the most baffling ones I've seen in a while. And listen, we get plenty of these throughout the season, which is ludicrous to say, but that's the standard of our officiating. It's just I've watched it again and again and again, and for me, there's no sort of looking at it one way or another. It's not like when they freeze frame and or slow mo a bad challenge, and you think, oh, that's made it look worse. It's just for me, it's just clear. It's like you've said, he's existing in a plane of offside, but he's not interfering anyway. Otherwise, we might as well we'll just flag anyone then. If they're offside at any point, we'll just flag them and be done with it, because I think it's a ridiculous decision, if I'm completely honest.
You've probably seen this as well on Sunday with the Old Firm game. The offside goal, I believe it was Celtic's one, was it? Or was it the Rangers one? It was about like a lot of bodies in the box at one time. You can actually...
Rangers, yeah.
Was it the Rangers one? That one as well, looking at that, I think what kills us... I know there's no feasible way for this to work because of the amount of money it would cost. With VAR, because it's only one camera angle as well, that's what can kill it at times. Because if you're doing it based on one angle, it's going to make something look a certain way. Compared to like fans being on the other side of the ground, they've seen it from a different angle. They've maybe got a clearer line of vision and can say, no, that wasn't offside, or oh no, that absolutely was, but VAR said it's not. And the money involved in VAR already for teams having to pay for it is a shocking amount. I know if we were to have like cameras on each side of the patch and like all four corner posts and have the place dubbed up like a full movie set, it would cost a fortune. The only clubs that can probably afford that.
Well, it depends. It depends on the approach, because the countries in Eastern Europe where goal line technology, they simply just have like a standard camera hooked up to like a laptop, and that way, if they think the balls went over the line, they can just have a quick check. The reason why it's so expensive for us is because we hold ourselves to the same standard of the big leagues, like like the big five, like with English football, for example. We're trying to use the same sort of tech that they've got. Whereas if we were allowed to be a bit more creative and inventive with how we would go around our VAR technology, it probably wouldn't cost as much. But that's far too forward thinking for the SFA. Like I say, I've seen other countries have different approaches. It's different to the VAR systems and whatnot than what we use up here in England and whatnot. So I don't want to hear that VAR is too expensive, because there is a way around that. But it's ultimately we've been given like the one option of it. It's not as if the clubs have had a way of like voting for like which way they want VAR to be implemented. And the one we've got, we're stuck with it. And I think you're right with the cameras. But isn't it weird how when in the games that are on TV, you can have all these different angles, close-ups of all these motions, tackles, goals, and yet when it comes to stuff like offside, you're right, just like the one angle, it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense at all.
No, you're spot on, but sometimes it does come down to what makes good viewing and what makes honest viewing. It's like the whole argument of like reality TV as well, when you think about it, is like the Kardashians, like that. Do you really want to see what they get up to, or do you want to see an over dramatised version of it? It's the same for the way these camera things work with the footballers. Do you want to see about 7 different angles of Tierney one-on-one Maeda destroying his ankles? Absolutely we do. Do you want to see more than one slightly different angle for a potential offside? Nah, it's boring. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, when you put it like that, and you over dramatise it. I guess what you're saying is that in a way, Celtic are the Kim Kardashian of Scottish football. That's all I'm hearing. Just making big deals out of nothing. Like, oh, there's a tifo there, starts crying, or Cherny sprays a water bottle at a couple of fans. Like, I don't know if you remember the thing where she loses a ring in the water and has a freak out, and there's just someone in the back going, "Kim, people are dying."
I mean, I wasn't going to sign a team to the Kardashians, but let's go for it. There we go, Kim Kardashian.
You might be,
especially a Celtic fan. Exclusive from Salmon's Pizza.
Oh, I've thought of something absolutely brilliant, but I don't think I'd get away with saying it. So remind me to put it in the group chat later.
Yeah, we'll go off air.
So this is friends time
I
to
think
the Salmons after hours, and we'll get this bit quick. Oh, I knew this one had potential, guys. You've not let me down, Ethan. You've not let me down. But
unless you want to censor me, you can censor me. I'm fine with that. But the audience absolutely could not hear me say it.
Go on, we'll censor
Could we
you, 'cause
censor
it
it?
always sounds better when we have like the bleeping over the top, I think.
let people guess what you
Oh,
said.
perfect. Oh, I was going to say, well,
No, yeah, that'll be censored. That'll be censored.
That is a cracker. So
awesome.
moving swiftly on from the starts of the Old Firm before we get ourselves into trouble. Another big game was Hibs Dundee United. Did you catch any of it? Highlights, sports scene, Twitter
Yeah.
updates, anything?
Called it on sports scene.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched the highlights on SPFL.
That first Hibs goal, I must say, it's not what I thought was going to happen. And to be fair, Martin Boyle's celebration kind of summed up the face and the reaction that I had to it was just, fair enough. Didn't think it was going to happen, but it did. And fair enough. What did you make of it, Stu?
Do you know what? When on the first viewing, I wrote in my notes, how have they given that goal to Martin Boyle? Because the first viewing, I thought Declan Gallagher just spun it into his own net like Jimmy Traore style. It was. I just couldn't understand what had happened, and then when I watched it back, it's sort of like it does come off Boyle and somehow doesn't hit Declan Gallagher again, but does go through it. Like he should still clear it, in my opinion. It's such a weird goal. It's let's say Gallagher's had an absolute stinker with it. He's I don't know if he's trying to sort his feet out or what, but he doesn't get any real connection on it, and obviously then it just hits Martin Boyle. But even then, the speed it comes back at, I know it doesn't. It's not slow, but it's not fast. I feel like he could still react to it. And again, it's like he spent this whole time trying to sort his feet out, and yeah, it sort of spins and then it goes past him and just is in the back of the net. And yeah, on first viewing, I thought it was a Gallagher OG, which I still think it should go down as just for how bad it was. But Martin Boyle will take the weirdest and easiest goal he'll score all season.
It was a bit of a wild
Well,
one.
both the first.
Maybe Gallagher's just trying to
There you go,
impress
Jenna.
clubs and show that he's capable of playing up front and have a little career change at 30 something now that's not worked out with United.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the first two goals quite a few times. For business or for pleasure, that's up to you. But my take on it was just a Jim Goodwin team. I can call United many names, but the one thing to give to their credit is under Jim Goodwin, they are very defensively astute. And so kind of to see them having all that calamity at the back is pretty uncharacteristic. And very surprising because it's like if that's going to fail you, if your defense is going to have an off day, it's easy to say that about any team. Your defense has an off day, you're going to chuck it. But it's like, that's the one thing you've got going for you. If the one thing going for you then just kind of, collapses a little bit, then yeah, you've given yourself a massive mountain to climb. And I think realistically, away to Easter Road for a game that's quite big for Hibernian as well, to be fair, for the race for third place, it was kind of like at that point, still sort of over before it really got going. And I know United ended up pulling one back. But from what I saw in the highlights, they didn't really have many chances going forward, and it was all just about how many will Hibs win by, rather than can United maybe nick a result here. Now I think United probably will be fine. I think they'll get fifth place, and I think they'll get Europe. There's a bit of worry in their camp. Because St Mirren, I think, are now beginning to creep up a little bit with 5 points behind, 3 games to go. It would take something really remarkable on St Mirren's part to kind of nick that fifth place spot. But no, I would completely expect United to kind of quickly shrug this one over. Because, like I say, characteristically speaking, a Jim Goodwin side will be tough to beat, and I expect them to kind of pick themselves up again. Even if it's just a draw in the next game or something, I don't think they need to win an awful lot of games to cement that fifth place spot, because realistically, are St Mirren going to beat United at Tannadice? Are they going to then follow that up with a victory at Easter Road? It's unlikely, not impossible, but unlikely. I said Easter Road. I don't know if actually it is in Paisley or not, but I know they've got to put Tannadice first. They're at home, sorry, yeah. So the follow up, the win against Hibs. If United can just so much as get a draw against St Mirren, that would be that more or less dead and buried. So yeah, bad day at the office for United, but I think it'd be quite foolish to go to panic stations right now.
I think also all 3 goals. I think all 4 goals actually were quite poor defending from both sides, but it sort of breaks for Kukurevic, which comes from poor play from United. But I think I love those goals where he's gone out wide and he's not struck it. It's not the hardest hit he'll ever have, but it's so precise. It's one of them ones that it looks slow, but it goes right into that post, doesn't it, and then back across the line and in the back of the net. I think they're really aesthetically pleasing goals for the Hibs goal there, and then the third goal they concede as well. It's like Dwight Gale for Hibs. This is where I think that they've done really well this season because Dwight Gale is such a good option from the bench. Kukurevic is obviously very capable. Kieran Bowie obviously suffered that injury, but he's a fantastic player, and I think they'll make quite a bit of money off him. But having Dwight Gale and that experience and that ability off the bench it makes all the difference. And he does really well for that goal for Hibs, the third goal. But when you watch it back, he's standing unmarked for that whole attack. Like the ball comes in the first time and it sort of gets cleared out. The guy picks it, the boy picks it back up on the left hand side and dinks it back over, and Gale's still unmarked. And it's like you've got this guy who scored goals at the top level, and you're leaving him unmarked in your penalty area. It's like, what do you think's going to happen? It's obviously going to end probably, well, not obviously, but 9 times out of 10, that's going to end with a goal, isn't it? And you can't give quality strikers, even aging quality strikers, you cannot give them moments like that because you'll get punished for it. And I think Dundee United, when I first looked and I saw, like Ethan was saying, they're 5 points, I was like, they'll be fine in 5th. But that next game is massive. It's that is the one at Tannadice, isn't it? Dundee United versus St Mirren. So if they lose that, even though it's still 2 points clear, you'd maybe make St Mirren slight favourites with the run they're on compared to Dundee United. Maybe they become slight favourites for that 5th place, which would be quite funny. But I still think they'll have enough because I think, like Ethan said, that Jim Goodwin's team's defensively very good, and I think at worst they'll get a draw at Tannadice against St Mirren. But if Robinson's team goes there and manages to nick it, then it opens it right up. So it's boring for some of us that season have ended where they are right now, but there's still plenty of action to come for these last 3 games. So it's still quite exciting for the rest of the league.
Yeah, I mean, the race for Europe, I mean, I've been kind of turning a blind eye to it now just because we're not involved and I'm still bitter about what happened, but that's neither here nor there anymore. Looking at the table for the top side of things, I mean, it is quite close. I mean, you were saying like 5 points between United and St Mirren. I think the race to 5th will be the true big one, as terms of that will be harder than probably between 3rd and 4th with Aberdeen Hibs. I think it'll be Hibs every day of the week. I think it'll be Hibs in 3rd. What about yourself, Ethan? Are you happy it'll definitely be Hibs, or do you think Aberdeen might somehow kind of clinch this back?
No, I expect it to be Hibs because I've looked at all the fixtures as well. Aberdeen still have to play, was it Rangers and Celtic? I think Hibs only have to play Celtic, not mistaken.
No, I think
No,
you're right. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, and it's a 3 point gap between Hibs and Aberdeen, and I want to say Hibs have the better goal difference too. So it's just kind of one of those where it's a lot more on Aberdeen's part to get to 3rd than it is for Hibs. So you'd expect Hibs just to kind of do the bare minimum to kind of get over the line. And in the case of elsewhere, I think you're on about that United game, St Mirren, how that's massive. St Mirren have to play, I think, at Parkhead. So even in a scenario where they win at Tannadice, United have to play at home to Aberdeen final game of the season while St Mirren's away to Parkhead. So that's still in United's favour. Just looking ahead, the fixtures all collides together. Same case here with Aberdeen Hibs. I think the fixtures are more in Hibs' favour than it is Aberdeen. So yeah, I completely expect Hibs to clinch 3rd. And I would imagine by the time Aberdeen have to play at Tannadice, that's probably going to be a dead rubber for them. And it'll just be a case that you've got... well, it depends on Tallinn, I suppose. Either you're going to have players playing for cup final places, or he's going to be resting players with the cup final in foresight.
Isabel,
I just want to really quickly. Sorry, I know we're pushed. I know we're pushed for time, but before the comments tell me and Ethan, they do. They both still have to play the Old Firm. Hibs play Rangers last game of the season at Easter Road, yeah, which they'll probably win in all honesty. So it's probably an easier game than what they would have had anyway.
But Aberdeen have to play at Ibrox, though, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And that's
yeah.
That's,
yeah.
But I get what you mean. Like with Aberdeen, with like Feline, it's do you rest the players and keep them fit for the cup final on the off chance you're able to get a result? Let's be honest, Celtic's going to win it. Or do you have the boys try and fight to prove who deserves to be included? Personally, if it was me, I think I would rest the important players and let the ones I'm undecided on play and then see if they prove themselves that way. Like your guaranteed starters, like I'd rest them, no problem. But the ones that are kind of like
Yeah, I mean,
fringe, I would be more
if it,
inclined to play.
if it's a dead rubber, then yeah, you've got nothing to lose. Because imagine the uproar if you say no, I'm going to play like a full fit team that are ready for the cup final, and then fucking two or three of them get injured or suspended or whatever. Then suddenly it's like well, why did you risk the injuries and suspensions in the first place by playing them in a dead rubber? Yeah, no, completely rest them for the Celtic game. It's maybe a slim chance, but it's a one-off opportunity to win a cup. Um, Aberdeen, I think they've obviously they won the League Cup back in 2014, but they've had a lot of cup final heartbreaks. They'll be, I'd imagine, quite excited at the idea of Jimmy Talleen leading them out to the cup final because the stuff they've played this season overall. I think the positives outweigh the negatives. And they've given Celtic a game this season as well. I know they got thrashed at the last time they played them at Hampden. I think was it 6-0 or something. But you'd imagine they've learnt lessons from that game, uh, and they'll have a slightly different approach than what they did before because I think they were cut open way too easily. So no, yeah, I would agree, Jenna. You've got to rest your players going into a dead rubber if you've got a cup final on the horizon.
Looking at the bottom end of the table now, because this is where I've been paying the most attention because I like the thought of the championship teams coming up, regardless of who it means is going down. I think looking at the points, St Johnstone's a certainty. Their time is came, it's been done. They have no chance. I do not see St Johnstone pulling this back. Ross County,
It
Dundee,
depends on Saturday.
there's 2 points between yourselves and County, and then 4 between yourselves and Kelly. It's a bit of a weird one. Put it this way, what scenario would you guys prefer, right? If we go based on what the table is now, which time of recording, St Johnstone 6, automatic relegation, Counties 11th, right? Out of the teams involved in the championship playoffs, we're stealing from the championship pods, kind of kettle of fish here with this one, but based on who's up for the playoffs, being it potentially Livy, Ayr, or Partick Thistle, who would you want to see come up? If we sacrifice Ross County, out of the three, who would you prefer to see? I mean, Falkirk's already confirmed to be coming up, but if you were to sacrifice County, out of the three available options, who would you fancy coming up the most?
The thing is, I hate
Absolutely none of them. Hate them all.
I hate going to Livy. Like I hate that pitch. It always maybe I'm remembering slightly older times than more recent times, but it always felt like it's a struggle to go and get a result. Um, at the Spaghetti ad,
God bless
it
a stadium.
it's a tough place to go, and I know is the pitch rule's been moved back. Is it? It's still coming into play at some point that you got to have a proper pitch.
I think it's 27, 28. I think it comes into play. I could be
Right,
wrong.
because I remember they did move it back, didn't they? So I like Livy as a team though, and especially this season, I think they've they've been a real good team at times, and obviously under Martindale, I think they're the most adept to come up because I think they can play a number of ways. They've gone down to Championship, they've played attacking football and shown that they can mix it with teams that aren't as good as them in terms of playing football, but they can also grind out results and they can defend and they can come up with a formation or a tactic that's going to be a problem for the bigger teams they go and play. So I think they're probably the best chance, which would make sense considering they finished pretty much level on points until the last day with Falkirk. But looking at the other two, I mean Partick, and I'm just judging this from the guys in our chat, right? That Kieran, obviously being our Partick fan, has not had a good season. It feels like he's got more and more depressed as the season's gone on. So the fact that they still went and nicked into that playoff was quite funny. So he's got more to come. Ayr seemed to start really, really quickly this season, and it looked like it was a genius appointment under Scott Brown, and they were going to be right up there. And I feel like I haven't heard too much of them. They've just sort of plodded along and got on with business, and it feels like it was always going to be playoffs for them towards that sort of final third of the season. So in terms of who's coming up and who would you want to come up, I think I still would enjoy Livy. I think maybe for just pure reasons of they haven't been there the longest. Air would be interesting going to Somerset, but yeah, it's a different one. It's not one. It's a good question. It's not one I've really thought about, to be honest.
What about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, preferably, I'd actually rather Ross County stay up compared to any of them because I love Ross County as an away day. I like having a Highland representative in the top flight. And I think Ross County are actually quite a decent team as well. I think they're a better team than they get credit for. A lot of nice players on the eye. I like Ronan Hale up front. I like the boy Chalvers on the wing. The Australian they brought in that's like 4 foot tall in midfield. And I like what I see with Ross County a lot of the time. Yeah, Nisbet, that's it. And obviously Amisa, the goalkeeper, has been one of the signings of the season. But if I've put a gun to my head, it's tough because with Livingston you get the better story because obviously you want to see clubs stick with managers and sticking with Martindale throughout that relegation and having that reward of coming back up. That makes for a nicer story, and that would be nice to see. I wouldn't like another season of him complaining about budget all the time, though. The same way that I wouldn't like to hear about Scott Brown's, not Ayr United, but Scott Brown's Ayr United from the BBC every fucking week. And I think, truth be told, I actually do quite like this all. However, I hate Brian Graham. So yeah, I would say Ayr United. I would say Scott Brown's Ayr United. I would take that one for the team if it meant I can see Brian Graham cry a little bit more. But on top of that as well, with Ayr United coming up, you're right, they've not been in for quite a while. Same as Falkirk, so it'd be kind of fitting having both up as a package deal. And you have the Ayrshire Derby back in the league as well, which I think would make for a good package too. Right now we've got the Old Firm Derbies, the Edinburgh Derbies, the Dundee Derbies. It'd be nice to kind of have a bit more than just the big three. If we can get an Ayrshire Derby, maybe who knows if Falkirk can stay up and then Wraith Rovers have a decent go at it. Maybe you get a bit of a, I know that's technically not a derby, but they're going to have a little bit of a feud or rivalry kind of thing going. It'd be good to see. I think it would benefit and enrich the league a little bit more with Ayr United. So, yeah.
No, I like it. I mean, I was more inclined for Livingston just because distance-wise, probably a bit of an unpopular opinion, as if we've not had enough of those already tonight, is when it comes to away days, I like a day trip, not a holiday. Dingwall, that's a holiday. 5 hours up, 5 hours back, that's a holiday, right? No. Livingston, 40 minutes on the train from Bellshill straight to Livingston South. Sign me up every day of the week. I like my close away days. It's one of the reasons why St Mirren away is my favourite away day that I've ever done, and it's because it's so easy to get to and it's so easy to get home from. It's stress free, it's cheap as anything as well. It's like £12 for the train fare and then about £20 odd for the ticket to the game. So bring back the spaghetti had, but I would like Partick to come up just because I want to see Kingsley in the flesh. I've never seen Kingsley in my life. And I'm making it my goal to get a photo with Kingsley. I don't care how I do it. I'm finding a way to get a photo with Kingsley. Even if I need to beg, listen, use your season ticket. I'm going to Petershill. I want to see him in the flesh.
I'd love this one to come up, just not under Brian Graham. I think he's just a greeting face, greeting plus face. Fuck him. But I liked it when they had Chris Dolan in charge. I thought Dolan was actually a really good manager to begin with. I don't know where it went wrong with him, but if he was still at the helm, yeah, I'd be backing them. That would have made for a great story too. But no, just because it's Brian Graham, and I really don't like Brian Graham. In case it wasn't obvious. Yeah.
Ethan, is everything all right at home? Should I be phoning somebody for you?
No, I have a poster of Brian Graham in my bedroom wall that I like to punch sometimes, make me feel a bit better about myself.
I mean, each to their own, mate. Each to their own. Some people watch ASMR to calm down. Some people scream in their cupboards. Ethan punches.
Some people watch the Kardashians.
Oh, it's unreal. But while we've recorded this, I've been having a little nosy at the scores just to see if anyone's actually scored yet. And Scott Brown's Ayr United is nothing each with Partick Thistle still. So we'll see what comes out of that one. We've kind of stole the thunder from the Championship guys, but they talk about it in a lot more depth with proper analysis and knowledge compared to us three. So if you've not watched the recent one with the guys talking about it, it came, I was going to say today, but I don't know when this is going out. Came out Tuesday the 6th of May. So give that a watch. Give the Championship guys some love. We all know they're tortured in that league compared to us in the big leagues. So do that, and with a bit of luck, we'll get some new faces on the Premiership. pod for next year, and hopefully we're not losing any of our guys, but maybe that's just me showing some favouritism there. But thank you for tuning in to another episode of Salmon's Pizzeria. If you do fancy an extra little slice, please feel free to follow us on all social media, all the usual places: Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, YouTube, Spotify, all of those good places. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I hope you have a lovely night.
Stay tasty.